So let's get into it. First of all, thank you guys so much for all the sweet messages you sent me after yesterday's episode where I was...
The evidence is in, and it's shaking everything up. Taylor Swift's involvement in Blake Lively's case might be deeper than anyone realized. Despite Blake's desperate attempts to reach out, Taylor has remained silent, ignoring her pleas. But was this silence a message in itself? Fans are beginning to wonder if Taylor's subtle genius has been hiding clues in plain sight. From cryptic social media posts to suspiciously specific lyrics, we're diving deep into the quiet fallout between two of Hollywood's most celebrated friends. And as we go back through everything, it appears the mystery figure who first tipped off Brian Friedman was none other than Taylor Swift's own father. Yes, it looks like Taylor's camp, fed up with Blake's drama, decided to cooperate with the legal team. What's more shocking? Taylor's team has now dropped the deposition request because, allegedly, they already got what they needed from her. If that includes proof Blake asked Taylor to delete incriminating texts, or worse, attempted to manipulate her loyalty, this could be catastrophic for Blake's legal standing. If that's true, she could be accused of destroying evidence during an active investigation, a devastating blow. It's shocking to consider. Blake and Taylor were once the ultimate friendship goals. From glamorous vacations to red carpet poses, they made their bond public and polished. Blake's kids even featured in Taylor's music. But behind all the sparkle, cracks may have already been forming. For instance, Taylor never publicly congratulated Blake on the birth of her third child in 2019, a glaring omission for someone known for showering friends with love on social media. Fans now see those subtle silences and Instagram absences as possible signs of deeper issues. PR experts note that celebrity friendships often serve a strategic purpose, offering visibility and public support. So when one friend steps back, especially someone as deliberate as Taylor, it's bound to raise eyebrows. And then there's Taylor's music. Her albums Folklore and Evermore are laced with lyrics about betrayal and power struggles. Songs like Mad Woman and Tolerate It stirred whispers. Were these veiled messages aimed at Blake? Fans think so. Taylor is known for leaving breadcrumbs, and her decision to lean into themes of trust and manipulation feels too timely to ignore. Her 2020 post featuring a cryptic lyric about giving up being the strong thing sparked even more speculation. Could this have been her way of signaling a quiet exit from a toxic friendship? Even Blake's directorial debut for Taylor's I Bet You Think About Me didn't seem to come with the same enthusiastic praise Taylor usually gives. Was that another subtle pullback? Behind the scenes, things were unraveling quickly. Taylor's lawyers may have handed over text messages proving Blake asked her to delete evidence, a move that would shift the entire legal narrative. If those texts surface, Blake will be forced to either admit they're real or claim they're fake. Both options could seriously damage her credibility. And while Taylor remains quiet publicly, her silence is speaking volumes. The lack of denial from her team may be a strategic move, letting the facts speak for themselves. Meanwhile, Blake's reputation is taking serious hits in the court of public opinion. Taylor's subtle, calculated messaging has been hinting at this fracture all along. Then everything we thought we knew about their friendship may have been a carefully curated illusion. And now, it's all coming undone. In a scandal that has taken the entertainment world by storm, a new twist has emerged as Taylor Swift's father unexpectedly steps into the spotlight, reportedly calling out Blake Lively and her legal team for allegedly attempting to extort during a behind-the-scenes legal drama. This revelation, coming from Taylor's own family, added weight to the swirling rumors and lent strange credibility to earlier claims made by the Daily Mail. And now with People magazine, known for being sympathetic to celebrities and often working with them directly, seemingly taking Blake's side via its exclusive sources, many fans believe a PR narrative is being shaped behind the scenes. People has long been the go-to outlet for carefully managed celebrity coverage, helping figures like Meghan Markle or Jennifer Lopez manage controversies, and now, they appear to be offering Blake the same support. But despite these calculated media moves, fans have been watching something far more difficult to spin: body language. For years, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively shared a public friendship that seemed genuine, their joint appearances filled with warmth, inside jokes, and effortless chemistry. But over time, fans began to notice a subtle shift. At earlier red carpet events like the 2016 award show where Taylor wore a dazzling sequined outfit, Blake stood proudly beside her, both women glowing with what seemed like real affection. Fast forward a few years, and things looked different. At a charity gala, they arrived separately, avoided being photographed together, and when they did pose, their body language lacked its old spark. Gone were the easy laughs and leaning into each other, replaced by stiffer smiles and more distance. Fans on Twitter speculated openly, some even describing their dynamic as feeling more like co-workers than besties. Experts in nonverbal communication weighed in too, pointing out subtle cues like Blake angling her body away or Taylor crossing her arms, gestures often associated with emotional distance. These weren't isolated moments. They formed a pattern. Blake's absence from Taylor's iconic 4th of July party in 2019 was especially glaring, given how central she'd been in past celebrations. Taylor stayed silent on it, which only fueled theories of a growing rift. And while many hoped it was due to scheduling conflicts, her noticeable distance from Taylor at future events didn't help squash the rumors. One standout moment that stirred debate was at the New York premiere of a project directed by Blake, in which Taylor was heavily involved. While Taylor attended and publicly praised the film, their interaction appeared cold, with stiff side hugs and barely there smiles. Fans dissected every movement, every glance, and the consensus was clear: something had changed. The once unbreakable friendship seemed to be unraveling in plain sight. These shifts in public demeanor fueled deeper speculation, especially when legal documents involving Blake began mentioning Taylor Swift by name. In a recent court ruling, the judge acknowledged that because Blake had claimed Taylor was aware of certain workplace issues and creative disputes, messages between them were relevant to the case. This completely flipped the narrative many fans had believed, that Taylor had been unfairly dragged into the situation. Instead, the court confirmed it was Blake's own actions and claims that made Taylor's involvement necessary. In fact, the infamous Dragon text, in which Blake reportedly referred to Taylor in less than flattering terms, had been a red flag to many. Fans who previously defended Blake were now questioning whether her manipulation of the narrative had been deliberate. This court recognition made it clear: Blake initiated the inclusion of Taylor in this legal saga, not the other way around. Taylor, who is known for her carefully managed image and emotional honesty, has long used collaborations as a form of storytelling, often choosing partners who reflect her personal and creative direction. So when she began collaborating with artists like Phoebe Bridgers on vault tracks like Nothing New, filled with raw emotion and themes of disillusionment, fans read between the lines. Phoebe comes from a world of indie credibility and anti-Hollywood gloss, a stark contrast to Blake's polished, traditional celebrity image. To many, this shift in collaborators was no accident. It was symbolic. Taylor seemed to be stepping away from the glossy, curated world that Blake represents and aligning herself with vulnerability and raw storytelling. Further evidence came in the form of Blake's short-lived directorial partnership with Taylor. Blake had directed the music video for I Bet You Think About Me, which at the time was celebrated as a cheeky, sarcastic masterpiece. But despite the video's success, their creative partnership ended there. For someone as loyal as Taylor, who repeatedly collaborates with trusted partners like Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner, the sudden end of this artistic pairing stood out. Was there friction behind the scenes? Did their creative energies clash in ways the final product masked? The absence of further projects between them spoke volumes. Meanwhile, Taylor continued to work with introspective, emotionally honest collaborators like Lana Del Rey, whose reclusive vintage Hollywood mystique stood in direct contrast to Blake's high society, red carpet aura. This pattern continued when Taylor cast Sadie Sink in her short film For All Too Well, an actress known for depth and emotional honesty, far from the typical tabloid fodder celebrity. These choices, when viewed collectively, suggested a deliberate pivot. Taylor appeared to be choosing truth, creativity, and quiet authenticity over the performance of perfection. And this change wasn't just artistic, it was personal. While once surrounded by a celebrity squad featuring figures like Blake Lively, Taylor began appearing less and less with them in public, retreating into more intimate creative circles. The fan theories took on new life. Were these collaborations a form of silent messaging? Was Taylor using her platform to reframe her personal relationships and take back control of her narrative? It wouldn't be the first time. Taylor is famous for weaving her life into her lyrics, and fans have always followed the breadcrumbs. Even in absence, Blake's reduced presence in Taylor's orbit became a loud statement. The silence grew louder. And now, with Taylor's father reportedly stepping into the legal discourse and publicly defending his daughter, the stakes feel higher. If it's true that Blake's lawyers tried to manipulate or even extort elements of the situation, and if Taylor was only brought in due to Blake's own words, then the real betrayal might not be between Taylor and the public, but between two former friends. The court's acknowledgement that Taylor's texts were fair game because Blake introduced her into the narrative was the most revealing moment yet. It confirmed that this wasn't a case of unwanted drama but a story orchestrated, at least in part, by Blake herself. As legal proceedings move forward and the public continues to comb through every detail, one truth is undeniable: Taylor Swift has subtly but powerfully rewritten the story of her friendships. Not through interviews or tell-alls, but through collaborations, choices, and silence. While Blake may still be fighting for control of the public narrative, Taylor seems to have already moved on, her actions speaking louder than any denial ever could. In the end, it might not be a dramatic falling out that ends this friendship in the eyes of the public, but a quiet erosion, documented through changing facial expressions, shifting collaborators, and court documents that expose more than any Instagram post ever could. The world is watching, not because of a feud, but because of how beautifully complex and carefully managed Taylor's narrative has become. Every move feel deliberate. Every silence deafening. And for fans trying to decode the truth, Taylor's evolving partnerships may offer more answers than her words ever will.